All right. I want to link this idea because I was reading what was I fucking reading? Ezekiel, I think. But I had seen it in Ezra, and you see um, this idea of the angels standing someone on their feet, right? And then God comes down and uh, you know the prophet prostrates themselves down to the ground, face down into the ground, and God's like, no, stand on your feet, and then I'll talk to you. Um, so I mean, I think and I've said it before, but I think clearly this imagery is about the role of a rabbi. Right, the role of a rabbi should be to not to dominate and control the people, but the role of the rabbi should be to get them to stand on their own 2 feet. And I mean, the rabbi themselves are not supposed to be dragged down by the people, you know, with all of this neediness and stuff. I mean, the rabbi needs time for themselves, develop themselves to be on their own 2 feet, right? But I wanted to link this idea in with this other imagery that you see in the Torah of what is it? It's like freeing the prisoner, restoring sight to the blind. Um, I mean, there's others. What is it? It's restoring sight to the blind. Um, but I think this imagery is the same, right? Um, I mean, you think about um, someone like, I hate to name names here, but you think of someone like the MMA fighter Ian Gary. And I mean, this is a prisoner, imprisoned by a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? And so, um, you could think of people getting into prisoner relationships. It's like, the modern toxic political polemicists are going to tell you that tyranny has to do with form of government, right? And if you have the wrong form of government, then that's tyranny. Well, this is, it's total lie, because tyranny comes from not only law, but it comes from behavior. You can have a law which sets you free, or you can have a law which puts hands on the people. It's like, oh, you can't grow tobacco plants, because the tobacco companies, pay lots of money to write the laws. um, and that's a law that puts hands on people. You can't grow a tobacco plant. That's fucking weird. We live in a free country. It's like, what what are you fat dumb motherfuckers out there celebrating on the 4th of July? Um, so but law can also come from behavior, and you see this in certain people. Um, they will give money or give favors, but they want a favor back in return. It's like this is not this is not love. It's a false face of love that somebody puts out there, and that's how they imprison, right? They're putting out this false face of love, but they're imprisoning your will. um so free people from bad relationships, right? Um, yeah, free people from bad relationships. Stand them on their feet. Someone's in a bad relationship. They're prisoners. Um, restore sight to the blind. Right. Um, somebody who's living a modern, or not modern, but somebody who's living this Phoenician sacrificial life. It's like, what is love? Love is sacrifice, according to our world. Um, but this is wholly opposed to the Torah, which wants us to live a holy life, and your sacrifices will not be acceptable to the Lord. Because sacrifice is not love. Um, there's a lot of neglected children out there. Because their parents are living this life of sacrifice, and but there's a lot of people who have truly good hearts, and they actually believe this lie. They believe that and they're going to go out and they're going to truly love, and they're going to love by sacrificing. And their wills are being tricked, right, by a false definition of love. And so they're blind. Their hearts are beautiful, they're going to sacrifice. Hearts are beautiful, but their behavior is disgusting. Because it harms themselves, and it harms their families. Like me, I'm a circumstances guy. Um, I think there are some circumstances where, boom, you gotta sacrifice. Um, if the ground shakes or the river is flooding, you gotta. These are hard times. If there's a war or something, you gotta get busy. Um, but I mean, that's horrible, circumstances. Um, but for the most part, it's like we crave a more whole life, and when we don't get it, we go to some form of addiction, right? Um, I was on the streets, and you'd have all these people driving by hating on all these homeless people who are, just a bunch of drug addict bums, and yet they were going home to their own addictions of media and food, or alcohol. Um, and I mean, these people are blind. It's like one addict is criticizing another. Like, shit. Um, I mean, people can establish these needy behaviors. There's some people out there who they can't have alone time. They just constantly have to be around others. They cannot have alone time at all. And this is a needy behavior. This is someone who's emotionally not on their feet. Um, I mean, I met some British people and seen some British people online. One thing I noticed is just how highly critical they are. Um, and there's this self-criticism that's there. Um, some people develop behaviors where they've grown up in this critical environment, and this is how their brain works. This is how just the equations within their brain function, and they can't alter that functioning. Um, most likely because they've never been taught critical thinking or just self-awareness, but whatever. But so this is almost happening on a subconscious level where they're put into this critical mindset, and this critical mindset starts to attack itself. The mind starts to attack itself, right? Um, but there and a lot of times there's neglect happening, and so these people just start to develop habits of self-praise, where they're constantly speaking in order to get people to praise them, right? Pay attention to me, it's like this child within crying out. And some of them, this is all about, like, again, I like this idea of searching the heart, because some of them maybe as I describe, but others with this same habit of self-praise, like, that could come from a heart of vanity, or um, a disordered love of self, maybe. So, but that, I mean, that's my argument. It's like a lot of this is ancient psychology. Um, and much different than a lot of the modern psychology. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff within the modern psychology, but there's also a very clear attempt by a lot of the modern psychologists to get us to emotionally accept a life of sacrifice. So I think the psychology of today is completely opposed to the psychology of the Torah writers. Um, and I don't know, I mean, this may, to interpret in a psychological sense, and I do definitely think there's spiritual stuff and esoteric stuff that goes on in these texts. Some people may say this psychological interpretation, which is only just for these lines. But I'm trying to connect these lines. Um, and and yeah, no, I'm solely talking about the Torah right now, not the, because a lot of Christians terminologies they would use the Old Testament stuff, whether they understood it or not. I'm just talking about the Old Testament texts, and I think these Old Testament texts, it's they're and I think it's a beautiful, liberating psychology, um, rather than this, rather than modern psychology, which is trying to liberate you from your wholeness, from your desire for a whole life, uh, and get you to accept um, the so-called responsibilities placed upon us. Um, so yeah, no, I think that's it.